Hello and welcome to Daily Spark TV. I am Dr. Angela Butts-Chester. You know what I like to do. I want to enlighten. I want to inspire. I want to empower you to be your best self. Well, today we are talking about the culture of teaching, and my guest today is Kristin Decker, and I think you are going to enjoy your time with her today. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about Kristin. She's a teacher who has taught in both public and private schools overseas as well as here in America. She teaches world religion classes in a church setting, and she holds her bachelor's in education and a master's in theology. She's also the author of Dreams of a Saudi Princess. So get comfy, get cozy, because we are about to get started. Good morning. Thank you so much for being on with me today, Kristin.
Oh, good morning. It's such an honor to be here.
So Kristin, you are a teacher. What made you decide to go into that field?
Well, I think my teachers in the public schools developed within me a love for learning, and I still have that. And I knew when I was in college that being a teacher would always keep learning. And when I was in college, what I ran across was a beautiful proverb from Peru, and it said, "The Creator has made the world. Come and see it." So I couldn't think of anything better than to give young people, children, the schools to go out and explore the world, get to know the world, get comfortable with the world, and also see the beauty of God's creation and the really wonderful things that He has done around the world for us, His children.
Absolutely. And I think it's so important for us to introduce these concepts to younger people so they have, while their imaginations are still allowed to kind of run wild, and they can see the beauty and the glory in everything that is around them. I have to agree with you on that. Now, teachers interact with students every day. People have stories about their favorite teachers. We have stories about our least favorite teachers, unfortunately, as well. But how, in your words, how do you think teachers are being a positive influence on their students?
Well, we're the people that can open the eyes of their understanding and really give them a vision for their future, and also, along with that, give them a sense of purpose and direction and meaning, and help them understand that they can make a contribution, whatever their background is, wherever they're from. Everyone has a gift. Every child has a gift. And every child can realize that they can also make a contribution. So I think it's really important for teachers to provide a vision for the children, support them where they are, and then help them find the steps to really follow their vision and pursue it. There are a lot of programs that really help kids find their way and even find their way to college. And a lot of our students, I know, they're going to be the first person in their family to have ever been able to go. So we actually have programs now. It's really big all over the United States to help kids find their way.
And I don't think we should take that for granted. I think many times when you come from a family that has college-educated people, you just assume that everyone is college educated, and you forget that there is that family out there where they're the first ones for whatever the reason, and such a milestone. And to see the smile on their face at graduation or the pictures on social media, it's like, I did it, you know? And heaven forbid if grandmother is there or a great grandparent is there, they're so choked up.
Yes.
Because it is finally, we broke the cycle. Right, we were able to get it done. I love that. Now, something that you said in that children should have the permission, the room, the ability to talk to their teachers and to kind of dream with their teachers. If someone is thinking about talking to that particular teacher, is there a way that a student should especially approach a teacher, or can they just be themselves and say, "Hey, teach, I need to talk to you for a second"?
Absolutely be themselves. And sometimes teachers need to kind of awaken that spark in their kids and encourage them, and teachers need to make sure they're accessible. But when you work with children day after day, I feel like teachers really get to know their kids, and kids get to know their teacher. And so the doors, I think, are open. The opportunities are there, and especially when the teacher takes on the role of an encourager. And I've always felt that it's really important for every adult in a child's life to authenticate them and to validate them and encourage them to go ahead and dream and to let them know that what they want is important. I kind of grew up in that era where children should be seen but not heard from, and I just don't believe that at all. I think we really need to validate our children.
Absolutely, absolutely. They're people just the same way that we are.
Yes.
They just happen to
They're
be
just
younger.
little people.
Right.
Yeah.
And in having that conversation, it's, well, how did you feel when someone did you like that? Did you appreciate the fact that you were shushed or told to you were dismissed a little bit? If you didn't like it, you know that they're not going to like it
Exactly.
either. So I have to agree with you on that one. Now, it's almost time for us to go to break, but I want to ask you this question, and that is, unfortunately, in the news, we sometimes hear about teachers that do things that are offensive, be it ethnically, culturally, gender, whatever it is. Is there anything that we can help our teachers do to make sure that they're a little bit more aware or sensitive to the needs and they're not offensive to their students?
Right. And thank you for bringing that up. Over the last 10 years, I have seen some outstanding staff development seminars being presented and offered and made available to school districts. And teachers are being exposed to cultural sensitivity training, and my gosh, some of it is just so outstanding. And I know that some of the training that I received, especially when I was teaching in Texas, really helped my understanding. So that when I had an 8th grade student who had to go home and take care of her whole family because the mom had cancer, I was able to be so much more sensitive to her and not get on her case if she didn't do her homework. I mean, home was work for her. She was the parent, and she was only an 8th grader.
And just being sympathetic and empathetic in that moment.
Yes.
And I think we could all use that training,
I
no
agree.
matter how many years we've been in our profession.
Yes.
I
was
have
really
to agree with
grateful
you on
for
that. Well, don't worry, we are going to keep up this great conversation, but we need to take a very short break. We'll be back right after this. And we are back. Welcome to Daily Spark TV. Kristin, I have to ask you, you have been a teacher not only here in the States, but overseas as well. Is it different? If so, how? If it's not, were you surprised or kind of let down?
No, I wasn't surprised and I wasn't let down because I have family members who have spent their careers teaching in international schools. So that was a great example and help for me in going over. And the first thing I noticed about international schools is that the class sizes were a whole lot smaller. I know when I was teaching in Greece, I was teaching 7th grade English. I had 7 students.
Nice.
I know. And so it really meant I could give them quality time.
Absolutely.
And they really had great access. And like today I have 32 kids in my classroom. And I have a great class, really some wonderful students. But I'm spread pretty thin.
Yeah, that's much harder.
Yeah, so I noticed that the class size can be different. The curriculum can be different. Sometimes international curriculum is based a little bit more on rote memorization.
Okay.
And when I was hired to teach in Saudi Arabia, I was hired because the mother liked something that she saw in American schools, which I had never thought of before, but she said, American schools, Mrs. Decker, teach our children how to think critically, and that's what I want for my children. And we're so immersed in critical thinking skills that we almost take it for granted.
We really do.
So yeah, she said she did not want her children to be immersed in more facts. And I'm quoting her. She said she wanted her children to learn to think critically so they could be leaders in the future And that was something I really bought into, and I really valued learning that perspective.
Now, you talked about international school, and that's something that I wanted to ask you about. If you could create your own international school, and you could pick and choose from all of the wealth of knowledge that you've gained with your travels, is there anything in particular that you think that school, it's a must-have? We have to do this in order for our students to succeed.
Oh, wow, that's a great question. I think we need to be very savvy about the cultures of the world, and that needs to be a real priority. So I would definitely want a humanities and historical core, and then, but I love history, and I love the history of the world, so that would probably be my personal emphasis or priority. But we've got to have science, and we have to have math, and odd as it may sound, I actually like science and math. And we really need some great scientists out there leading the innovations in technology around the world. So all students need to have exposure to science and technology.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think with the technology that we have available to us living in this beautiful digital age, if we could blend that into our classrooms. We have a whole generation now that have grown up with cell phones and iPads and the like, and they're very savvy with that. And many times I think they get bored because we're just reading out of a book or just writing on a whiteboard or a chalkboard, and they need that extra stimulus. Right, they really do. And if we could blend that, I remember that the teachers that I found, or the classes that I found to be the most interesting, were for the teachers that I felt had a passion for what they were teaching. If they were excited, I was excited, and it's like, I can't wait to go to science class, like you said. Shout out to Mr. Mazitis that taught in middle school. I loved him. You were on fire, and I have a friend who went into the science field because of him. So it's amazing what teachers can do. Like you said, just that little window there can really create so much. Now, children learn at different levels, different paces. Some need a slower pace, faster pace, whatever it is. What can parents do? One side of the coin, what can parents do to encourage their children to really be involved in their studies? Flip side of the coin, how can teachers encourage the parents to make sure that everyone is encouraging each other?
Oh, I love that attitude. Yes, we really do need to work together as a community.
Thanks.
That, for the success of the child. And I am very grateful for the parents that I've had who keep in contact with me and communicate with me. And, we plan together on how to get their child successful or see success. And I think one of the most simple things a parent can do is to put a book in the hands of their children as soon as they're old enough to hold anything.
Absolutely.
Not technology, not an iPad, but a book. Because books open the world for us. And I know my teaching friends that are mothers, that's what they do. They're giving their children books and developing a love for reading right along. And over the years, I've had a lot of parents come back to me and say, Mrs. Decker, I'm really glad you made my child do all of those book reports because they've gone on to be successful, get into honors, graduate with honors, win 4-year scholarships to universities. So I so believe in that.
It does. It makes a difference. So I know that it saddens me when I hear that a school is struggling and their library may close, or they're only able to go once or twice a month as opposed to once or twice a week. We have to remember that that is important.
Absolutely.
That even though you can get it on your phone, there's nothing like that tangible book. I have to agree with you. It lets your imagination go wherever. I love it. I have to agree. Well, listeners, viewers, we have to take a very short break. We'll be back right after this.
My name is Kristin Decker, and about 20 years ago, my husband and I decided that we wanted a midlife adventure, and some people thought we were a little bit crazy because we ended up on the other side of the world as teachers. But I also met someone who said to me that as an older woman, she regretted not taking more chances with her life, and because she said she never knew what she could have done. So I'm really glad we took the opportunity. We became private tutors for a powerful branch of the Saudi Arabian royal family. And we really caught the vision that this mother had for her children. Her children have been in public schools, and she said to us, and I'm quoting, she said, "My children have had their heads packed full of facts, 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 and more facts. What I want you and Mr. Decker to do is to teach them how to think critically, because that's what American schools offer their children." So I was delighted that she made that observation, and that I could be a part of helping her pursue her dream. So in this desert, there are plenty of dreams, and there are plenty of women in that culture that need our support, they need our love, and they need our prayers. And I think it's really good to be hearing something positive about this region of the world in light of the news that we hear. There are dreams out there, and there are some wonderful people that really need our support. And I just encourage you to take this adventure. And my book, Dreams of a Saudi Princess, is available at Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, on my website, Dreams of a Saudi Princess, and my Facebook page, Dreams of a Saudi Princess. Thank you for your interest.
And we are back. Welcome to Daily Spark TV. Kristin, I have to ask you this question. We kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. So many times we have single parents that are living in our major cities, especially, that are working 2 and 3 jobs just to make ends meet. And they don't have that quality time to spend with their children, and the students may suffer a little bit. Is there anything that we can do as the community, as a teacher, as the support team, to make sure that those children succeed as best they can?
Well, the first thing I would say to parents that are working 2 jobs is good work. Keep it up. Don't grow weary. Don't grow faint. It is so important what you're doing, because those children are a gift from God. And anything that parents do to take care of their family is a noble thing. It is a calling. So I hope they're not feeling guilty about that, because they're taking care of their family.
And so many times people make them feel guilty.
Yes.
You're working, you're not spending time with your kids, and it's like, but if
walk
I
away
don't
from
work,
that guilt.
Yeah.
Walk away. Yeah, you have to work.
You have to.
Yes, and it is a noble thing. The children, I think, as long as they know in their hearts that we are all there for them, and we're supporting them, and they're important, and they have a contribution to make also. I think that should help them step up to the plate. But a lot of schools have after-school programs now for working parents. And if parents have that opportunity, they should go ahead and get their children involved, like the Boys and Girls Clubs do a lot for families, and give the children time to complete their homework, time to be with other children, and a little time to play, and have some free time. And it's a safe, secure place.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So
and that is so needed as well, for the child to know that I'm safe in this atmosphere as well. Great point, great point. Now, for the parent who is considering tutoring for their child, be it that it's for, you just want to give them that added benefit, or perhaps they're slipping a little in their studies. Is there anything that a parent needs to make sure that they look for in a tutor? Is there a particular question that needs to be asked? How do they go through that process?
Well, anything that's done is going to be helpful, and it will help build relationships. But if they have a lot of gaps to fill, they should look for a tutor that understands the curriculum of that state. They have to have access to the learning goals for that particular state. So the tutor shouldn't just like walk down to the nearest bookstore, pick up a 4th grade book and think that's it. I mean, it's better than nothing, but a good tutor that you're paying for really needs to put the child in contact with the state's curriculum or the district's curriculum. And a lot of those curriculums are actually available online.
Okay.
And I know one of my parents just recently asked me about hiring a tutor, and I said, buy them a Chromebook, which is the small compact computer, and they're very affordable. A lot of districts have those now. In fact, my school district has put one in almost every classroom now. And there are so many wonderful online state curriculum programs. And I know that my children really benefit, or my students benefit, from going online at home and seeing the homework presented with video tutorials in math and English language arts. There's just a lot out there, and they're lined up with the curriculum. So he chose to do internet learning instead of paying for a tutor.
Right. And see, and I love that that is so available. Is there a difference between an individual being a tutor versus a tutoring service where the student perhaps comes to a location and they would always go to that location for the service, as opposed to an individual person perhaps coming to the house? Is there a big difference in that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But I think it depends on the individual child.
Yes.
So if the child likes being around a lot of other people, then I would definitely get them involved in a service. I've had students that have gone and just loved it.
Yeah.
And I've also had students that have a tutor at home. So
So it depends on your situation
family.
and on the student.
Yes.
I love that answer. Now, with so many students finally kind of opening up and saying, listen, I'm learning this for the test. I have a test on Friday, so I study Wednesday and Thursday. Come Monday, I may or may not remember what I did. Is there something that we can do to help our students retain the information that they're learning?
It's okay if we're learning for tests if the tests are good. We have to really make sure that, you know, the tests are full of important, relevant information, and we need to make sure that our states are offering their standardized tests with a lot of thought and a lot of depth and a lot of relevance and importance. They need to be good tests. And what a parent can do at our local level is to not have students just practice the night before. You know, like maybe a lot of us did in college, because it just goes in one ear and out the other, and it's not a good learning strategy. So I know a lot of us did it, but then you do lose it. But what I learned in the psychology of learning and instruction is that spaced out practice is a lot better and more effective at helping children retain the information, and it does raise their grades. So if I have a student that's just cramming for their spelling test on Thursday night to get an A on Friday, it won't stay with them very long. So I give them a little bit of homework every single night, because this long, lengthy exposure is much more effective, and it does promote long-term writing, as does teaching cursive handwriting. Studies have been done that show now teaching cursive actually works on long-term memory.
I love it.
Yes, I know. Who would have thought?
I know. It's
Yes.
like, am I really the last generation that's learning cursive writing? And
I
it's
hope
like,
not. It's so much easier,
I know.
actually.
It really is.
Yes.
I find that I do it just out of habit.
And can I give you one more suggestion for parents? Set things to music. You can set the multiplication tables to music, because they have got to have that for their math careers. And any science or any history, if you can learn the information to music, that really promotes long-term retention too.
Right. Now, last question for you, and that is, with all of your travels and everything that you have gathered along the way, how has your faith played into your overall?
Well, it has kept me going. And, you know, I've had a lot of personal challenges and losses. And without faith, I just couldn't have made it. I remember going to work in my very first year of teaching, just praying in the car on the way, saying, Lord, I can't do this without you.
Yeah.
I really need your strength. I need your calmness. I need your insight. I need your wisdom. And you know, God answers prayers.
He really does.
Yes.
He really does.
Yes.
Well, Kristin, thank you so much for being on Daily Spark TV today. I've enjoyed my time with you.
Thank you very much. It's an honor.
Thank you. And thank you for spending time with us today as well. I hope that I have enlightened, inspired, and empowered you today. As always, may God continue to bless you in all that you do. Until next time, everybody, be blessed in the Lord. Bye-bye.